Hello,
Hey Z, how are you?
I'm feeling great.
Good. What's going on?
Well, this week, Monday and Tuesday is the Mid-Autumn Festival, so we had Monday off from school.
Uh-huh. Okay.
And so today, yesterday, and the day before that, we have school.
Okay. All right.
Uh, on October the 1st, it's our National Day, so we have a week off from school. However, we have to have school on the weekend to make up time for the
Mhm.
school time we have lost in the 7-day holiday.
Mm.
So on Sunday, we're going to have school
On this coming Sunday or next Sunday?
this Sunday.
This Sunday coming. Okay.
So this weekend only has 1 day off.
Oh well. You get seven as a as the alternative. That's good. Are you gonna be doing anything during that 7 days?
Mm, don't know. I'll
If
think
you're
about
Yeah, if your family's traveling anywhere, you probably stay home.
it.
Mm.
No, I probably stay home because some COVID outbreaks in some parts of the country.
How about in your city? How's Shanghai doing? Is that is that bad or just a little or that you know of?
Just relatively small outbreak,
Yeah.
but even small outbreaks are taken very seriously.
Yeah, that's good. Uh, Now, did you have your second vaccine, or is that coming out?
They still haven't said anything about it.
Oh, okay. All right. So you just had the one. Okay. Anything else going on? How's school in
Mm,
general? Your
it's
classes?
been fine.
Yeah.
By the way, on Sunday we're going to have uh the curriculum of Friday, so this day is repeated again on Sunday.
Oh, okay. All right. Is that good or bad?
It's okay, I guess.
Okay. All right.
Because Friday does not have the privilege of school letting out so early anymore.
Okay. Have you watched any football?
Uh, sort of.
A little bit.
Today there was a game between the Carolina Panthers and the Houston Texans.
Who won? The Panthers?
Panthers won
Yeah.
24 to 9. The
Okay.
Panthers are starting at 3-0.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. How are
The
your Dolphins?
quarterback is
Uh-huh.
Sam Darnold, originally from the Jets,
Mm,
which did terribly last year.
mm.
So that's
Okay.
kind of weird.
He's the quarterback for the Panthers.
Yes,
Uh,
Sam Darnold. He
mhm.
was quarterback for Jets last year.
Mm. Okay. How are your Dolphins doing?
Well, uh, this week they got obliterated by the Bills 35 to nothing.
Ouch. That's not
Yeah,
good.
and at home.
Ooh. Okay. How about the Cowboys?
Well, they won,
Okay.
luckily,
All right.
against the Los Angeles Chargers, I think 20 to 17.
Okay. And how are my Tampa Bay Buccaneers doing?
They beat the Atlanta Falcons 48 to 25.
All right. And how about my Niners?
They beat the Philadelphia Eagles 17 to 11.
Oh, okay. Okay. Hey, on the Eagles,
So your
this is
teams are doing quite good.
I'm doing good, huh? Hey, on the Eagles, is McNabb still playing or is he retired?
Uh, is that he a quarterback or something?
Yeah, no, he was the
Mm,
quarterback. McNabb
and I think he's retired
retired. Okay.
because
Mhm.
I've heard during the last few seasons there's Carson Wentz, Nick Foles, and now it's Jalen Hurts.
Oh,
So
okay.
I never heard that name before.
Okay, that's been a few years. maybe 5 years or something. I don't know. Okay. See, as you can see how much I'm keeping up with football here in Cuenca. It's hard. It is hard here just for the fact that we just don't see the like in the U.S. You hear about it all the time. It's on every news station. People are talking about it all, at work all the time. I mean, you just see the commercials and you see it all the time everywhere. But a country like this that's not associated really with the U.S., it's just hard. You just don't unless you actually look for it on the internet and stuff like that. That's how you find it. And if it's not put in front of you, at least for me, you just forget about it. And when other people aren't talking about it, so it's easy to become engaged when that subject is brought up. But working from home in another country, it has its challenges at times. Anyway, I don't know if I told you, one of my sons, he's going to be moving back. He was born, but the twins were born in Tampa Bay, and in Florida. And one of the twins who's in the Air Force in the intelligence field, he is moving. He and his wife are moving to Tampa Bay, where he was born, MacDill Air Force Base, in March. So
Next March.
Yeah, this coming March, yeah.
So where is he now?
He's in Arkansas right now.
Oh, Arkansas.
He's in Little Rock, and his deployment there, his station. He's been there 3 years. They're moving. He's moving. He and his wife are moving to Tampa Bay. And I said, "Wow, your old homestead where you were born." And he says, "Yeah, but unfortunately, there's the hospital where I was born that's actually been torn down, and now no, they built a new one." But I said, "Yeah, but better now. You're going to be in Tampa for a few years, and you're going to be able to go to some home games." So because he likes the Buccaneers. So anyway, okay. Anything else?
In the game against the Bills, the quarterback of the Dolphins got injured, and he won't be playing in week 3. So a replacement is coming up, in the starting lineup.
Okay.
Interestingly, the next game is on the road against the Las Vegas Raiders. It's on my birthday, September 27th.
Oh, okay. Cool.
I want them to win because it's my birthday. However, it's a very tough game. Since the Raiders are 2-0, they beat the Steelers, and the Ravens, and they're a pretty good team now.
Okay.
And the Dolphins, they are quite good at defense, but their offense is terrible.
Okay.
And more interesting stuff is the first game I watched live with the Dolphins is last year. It was also against the Raiders and on the road. And the Dolphins won.
And the Dolphins won.
And then the last minute miracle play, and they won 26-25.
That's an exciting game.
Yes, it was really good.
Okay. Are you doing anything for your birthday? Are you going to be doing anything special that day?
I don't know.
That you know? No. And you're going to be 16?
15.
I was thinking you're older. Okay, 15. It's a good age. It's a good age. Okay. Well, we'll see how they do. Anything else? Anything else? Any news? Anything you're keeping up on, or what's going on in China?
Well, it's been okay. Yeah. There's a new little outbreak in the north. That's have the Delta variant.
Oh, that one. Okay.
I've heard it's been controlled pretty much. Okay.
They have it controlled. That's good. Yeah, I really this past week I haven't kept up with the U.S. I just know, I read headlines here and there, just, still increased cases. It looks like, I don't know, but Pfizer says that their vaccine is good for children up to 5 years old. So there's a possibility that the young children, 5 to 12 now, because all the other kids have been vaccinated. Not, I don't know about all of them, but they've already started that weeks ago. But there's a chance that then 5-year-olds up to 5 will be vaccinated. That really kind of goes for all your school age children, because usually you're 5 when you start kindergarten. And that's your first year of school in elementary school in the United States. So if they pass that, then I think most children in the schools will be vaccinated then. So we'll see what, I think they were looking at passing that by October, which is basically right around the corner. So we'll see. I haven't heard that here, but they said that in the US, so we'll see. Yeah. What else? Yeah, that's all really pertaining to that. Okay. Anything else?
And on the last 2 days before the like 1 week holiday, we're going to have the sports meeting or sports competition.
Okay.
I have told you about that before.
Yeah, you're competing. Are you going to be in that? You're going to be in that, right?
I don't think so because I was originally going to be in the 4x100 meters relay race. However, when I competed with my classmates one time in the 100 meters, I came last.
Okay.
Out of the 4 people.
Okay.
So I don't think I will be in the race because I'm a little too slow for that race because there's a lot of people in my grade who run really, really fast.
Okay. So that's just not your thing. Okay. Go ahead.
They have very good explosion powers, just like you can short bursts of powers, and they can because of that they can run.
Are you better at distance running?
No, one of my classmates is very good at distance runnings, like 1,000 meters.
Okay, but you say you're not.
He will be competing in the 4x100 race as well.
All right. And is that for the sports day, the competition, is that really the only type of competition that's taking place or races? Anything else?
There's high jumps and the long jumps that compete for distances. There's also
anything with basketball or anything like that?
We have our own basketball tournaments like at some time. We had actually had one in the last term.
Okay.
There's 3 people on each team. Each class has 1 team, and they compete head to head.
Okay. And will they have that this time?
No, because it's exclusive for basketball.
Okay. So.
And there's also exclusive soccer tournaments or football tournaments.
Okay.
We only had once in the 6th grade. It was after our final exams. In like the beginning of the summer. We won our 2 games and make it to the first, second, and third place stuff. There wasn't any formal first, second, or third places, but we made to the highest rank, like that.
Okay.
In the basketball tournament, we won 1 game and lost the game, so we didn't qualify.
Oh, okay.
For the quarterfinals or something like that.
Uh, so really, then the sport. So you're not going to be competing then in this sports competition this time around.
I
Is that
think
correct?
so. So I will. There is a in the tournament uh you can accompany the racers by running alongside them, which is kind of fun, giving them support.
Oh, okay, okay.
That's
All right.
also very encouraging.
For the racers.
Yes,
Yeah.
and it's even though you're not part of the race, it feels like you're part of it because you took part in it. It feels like you
Yeah,
took part in it.
especially if you know them and yeah, yeah, I could see that. All right. Well, it sounds like you have some fun things coming up, and the
Yes,
best.
it's really fun.
Mhm.
And
Does it last all day at school or just
yes,
part day? Okay.
yes.
Okay.
However, after like 4 p.m., we are going to have some class, like at least one test
Okay.
on I think maths and English respectively for the 2 days, on Wednesday and Thursday,
Respectively. Mhm.
respectively.
Okay. Okay. Well, that sounds like fun. Good.
Uh, During the last two times we had a sports competition, we were
Mhm.
allowed to bring snacks and playing cards to the bleachers where we watch the fun, which is
Mm.
really fun to
Mhm.
play.
And will you be able to do that this time as well?
I think so.
Okay. Does anybody ever bring? And you guys aren't allowed to bring cell phones, right?
Mm, Actually, yes, but they're not allowed to be turned on
Use.
in class. They have
Right.
to be taken by the teacher for safekeeping because those phones are usually for people who go alone or people who have to be on cars, to wait for their parents on cars. So they have to contact their parents to let them know where they are.
Oh, but the children don't really keep their phones then. They're it's managed by
At,
the
le-
teacher.
at least it's not allowed to open them in class.
Oh, okay. Okay. So I think that's still a pretty good rule. I don't think it's that way in the U.S. I think kids have them and use them all the time when I hear. So I don't know. If I was a teacher in the U.S., I wouldn't allow my students to have them either, or at least have like you said, like have them on. And if I caught them, they would be out of the class. Those would be the rules, and that would be it. Explain the first day, and I know there's always extenuating circumstances, but if I saw children, using them, and you can always tell when somebody's using the phone. They don't have to actually be speaking. You just look down and their fingers are moving, so they're using it. Or looking at an expression on their face because they received something. Yeah, I would take it away too. Anyway, okay, let's see if we can finish up this story because
Wait,
I made
what
up a
what
list.
subjects do you teach at school? Do you teach at
Um,
school?
in elementary school, I teach different grades. So I've taught second, third, and
I mean, which subject?
a teacher teaches them all. So they teach science, math,
Wait,
spelling.
really?
Yeah, yeah. In elementary school, if you're like a second grade teacher, you teach all subjects. You don't just teach one.
So how many
Uh,
teachers are there?
in the elementary school where I was, there, let's say 6 grades plus kindergarten. Kindergarten, there's probably three or four teachers, and in first grade, there's probably two or three, just depending on how many students there are. And then in second grade, there may be two or three. So each grade has at least two, if not three teachers. And if there's And if there's about 25 to 30 kids in a class, that means for each grade, there's approximately 75 to 90 students for each grade, like first grade, second grade, third grade. Yeah. And our elementary schools, I think I told you before, they start at kindergarten and they go to sixth grade. So, and that's it. And then it's not until you get to middle school, seventh grade, which is real similar to high school. But when you get to middle school, that's when you just have a teacher that teaches one subject, and the teacher stays in the classroom. Let's say the teacher's teaching algebra. She teaches in that classroom and she never moves. Her students keep rotating. So she'll teach that subject of algebra 6 times a day. And for every hour, and a bunch of new students come in the classroom every hour. So you have 30, or 50 minutes, whatever it is. You have 30 students that come in for algebra 1. And then at 8 o'clock, and at 9 o'clock, you have another 30 students that come in. Bell rings, and the first group goes to maybe science or wherever they're going. So the teacher stays in the classroom, and the students change every hour. And she'll teach it, I think, about 5 or 6 times a day. I think she might have a break as well. But that's how middle school and high schools are operating, same way. It's kind of cool. So the classroom, whatever it's designed for, whether it's science, mathematics, history, whatever, it's the teacher's room for the entire school year, and he or she never moves. They have their desk in there and all their their decorations, whatever they put up on the wall, their globes, charts, and so nothing ever changes, and it's just the students that keep rotating inside the classroom. Yeah. Interesting, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like it.
In elementary school, we had one teacher for every subject. I also remember there was a foreign teacher who teaches us English from time to time.
Mm. Yeah, see, in our elementary school, things have changed, but we never had any other languages being taught. I mean, all kids spoke English when they came into grade school. Of course, there's a difference between somebody in kindergarten and somebody who's in sixth grade and how they speak. That's obvious. But the teacher will work on vocabulary, spelling, with we say English, with reading and writing and things like that. But that teacher is also teaching, science, mathematics, and history, and so, and that's how our degrees are in college for elementary education. There's a difference between K through 3, kindergarten through 3rd grade, and then 4 through 6. There's more courses that are required for your teaching credentials in college, depending on what grade you're teaching. So a lot of people say that even K through 3 is the most difficult. And the reason being is because it's not so much the subjects, it's also the social behavior of children that you have to be able to deal with. It's they're much younger, and they've got probably different issues than somebody a little bit older many times. So yeah. Any other questions?
Which subject are you best at teaching?
Probably English. English, and well, yeah, I would say English. I'm out of practice. I don't teach a lot of math or science or any of that, because all I do now is just teach English, and that's it. And before that, I say math because I was an accountant. I could do that quite well, but I'm kind of out of the practice of that, and yeah. So I would just say English. Any any other questions?
Nope.
No? You okay? All right. Um,
Thank you for sharing.
yeah, no problem. Okay, let's see if we can roll through this. I think we can. And we'll start at the top there where it says, this is our last chapter. And if we finish that, I have a little short quiz and an essay question for you. So let's see if we can get to that. To start at the top there where it says, for 2 days and nights, Buck never left camp.
For 2 days and nights, Buck never left camp, never let Thornton out of his sight. He followed him about at his work, watched him while he ate, saw him into his blankets at night and out of them in the morning. But after 2 days, the call in the forest began to sound more imperiously than ever. Buck's restlessness came back on him, and he was haunted by recollections of the wild brother, and of the smiling land beyond the divide and the run side by side through the wild forest stretches. Once again he took to wandering in the woods, but the wild brother came no more, and though he listened through long vigils, the mournful howl was never raised. He began to sleep out of night, staying away from the camp for days at a time. And once he crossed the divide at the head of the creek and went down into the land of timber and streams. There he wandered for a week, seeking vainly for fresh sign of the wild brother, killing his meat as he traveled and traveling with the long, easy lope that seems never to tire. He fished for salmon in a broad stream that emptied somewhere into the sea, and by this stream he killed a large black bear, blinded by the mosquitoes while likewise fishing, and raging through the forest helpless and terrible. Even so, it was a hard fight. It roused the last latent remnants of Buck's ferocity. And 2 days later, when he returned to his kill and found a dozen wolverines quarreling over the spoil, he scattered them like chaff. And those that fled left two behind who would quarrel no more. The blood longing became stronger than ever before. He was a killer, a thing that preyed, living on the things that lived, unaided, alone by virtue of his own strength and prowess, surviving triumphantly in a hostile environment where only the strong survived. Because of all this, he became possessed of a great pride in himself, which communicated himself like a contagion to his physical being. It advertised itself in all his movements, was apparent in the play of every muscle, spoke plainly as speech in the way as he carried himself, and made his glorious furry coat, if anything, more glorious. But for the straight brown on his muzzle and above his eyes, and for the splash of white hair that ran midmost down his chest, he might well have been mistaken for a gigantic wolf, larger than the largest of the breed. From his Saint Bernard father, he had inherited size and weight. From his Saint Bernard father, he had inherited size and weight, but it was his shepherd mother who had given shape to that size and weight. His muzzle was the long wolf muzzle, save it was larger than the muzzle of any wolf, and his head, somewhat broader, was a wolf head on a massive scale. His cunning was wolf cunning, and wild cunning. His intelligence, shepherd intelligence, and Saint Bernard intelligence. And all this, plus an experience gained in the fiercest of schools, made him as formidable as a creature as any that roamed the wild, a carnivorous animal living on a straight meat diet. And he was in full flower, at the tide of his life, overspilling with vigor and fertility. When Thornton passed a
That's virility.
Vigor and virility. When Thornton passed a caressing hand along his back, a snapping and crackling followed the hand, each hair discharging its magnetism at the contact. Every part, brain and body, nerve tissue and fiber, was keyed to the most exquisite pitch, and between all the parts there was a perfect equilibrium or adjustment. to sights and sounds and events which required action. He responded with lightning-like rapidity. Quickly as a husky dog could leap to defend from attack or to attack, he leaped twice as quickly. He saw the movement or heard sound and responded in less time than another dog required to compass this mere seeing or hearing. He perceived and determined and responded in the same instant. In point of fact, the three actions of perceiving, determining, and responding were sequential, but so infinitesimal were the intervals of time between them that they appeared simultaneous. His muscles were surcharged with vitality and snapped into play sharply like steel springs. Life streamed through him in splendid flood, glad and rampant, until it seemed that it would burst him asunder in sheer ecstasy, and pour forth generously over the world. Never was there such a dog, said John Thornton one day, as the partners watched Buck marching out of camp. When he was made, the mold was broke, said Pete. By jingo, I think so myself, Hans affirmed. They saw him marching out of camp, but they did not see the instant and terrible transformation which took place as soon as he was within the secrecy of the forest. He no longer marched. At once he became a thing of the wild, stealing along softly, cat-footed, a passing shadow that appeared and disappeared among the shadows. He knew how to take advantage of every cover, to crawl on his belly like a snake, and like a snake to leap and strike. He could take a
Ptarmigan.
ptarmigan. Is that bird?
With the bird, yeah.
Oh, ptarmigan from its nest, kill rabbit as it slept, and snap in midair the little chipmunks fleeing a second too late for the trees. Fish in open pools were not too quick for him, nor beaver mending their dams too wary. He killed to eat, not from wantonness, but he preferred to eat what he killed himself. So lurking humor ran through his teeth, and it was his delight to steal upon the squirrels, and when he all but had them, to let them go, chattering in mortal fear to the treetops. As the fall of the year came on, the moose appeared in greater abundance, moving slowly down to meet the winter in the lower and less rigorous valleys. Buck had already dragged down a stray part-grown calf, but he wished strongly for a larger and more formidable quarry, and he came upon it one day on the divide at the head of the creek. A band of 20 moose had crossed over from the land and of streams and timber, and chief among them was a great bull. He was in a savage temper, and standing over 6 feet from the ground, was as formidable an antagonist as even Buck could desire. Back and forth the bull tossed his great palmated antlers, branching to 14 points and embracing 7 feet with its little tips. His small eyes burned with a vicious and bitter light, while he roared with fury at the sight of Buck. From the bull's side, just forward of the flank, protruded a feathered arrow end, which accounted for his savageness, guided by that instinct which came from the old hunting days of the primordial world. Buck proceeded to cut the bull out from the herd. It was no slight task. He could bark and dance about in front of the bull, just out of reach of the great antlers and of the terrible splay hoofs, which could have stamped his life out with a single blow. Unable to turn his back on the faint danger and go on, the bull would be driven into paroxysms of rage. At such moments, he charged Buck, who retreated craftily, luring him on by a simulated inability to escape. But when he was thus separated from his fellows, 2 or 3 of the younger bulls would charge back upon Buck and enable the wounded bull to rejoin the herd. There is a patience of the wild, dogged, tireless, persistent as life itself, that holds motionless for endless hours the spider in the web, the snake in its coils, the panther in its ambuscade, obfuscate. This patience belongs peculiarly to life when it hunts its living food, and it belonged to Buck as he clung to the flank of the herd, retarding its march, irritating the young bulls, worrying the cows with their half-grown calves, and driving the wounded bull mad with his helpless rage. For half a day this continued. Buck multiplied himself, attacking from all sides, enveloping the herd in a whirlwind of menace, cutting out its victim as fast as it could rejoin its mates, wearing out the patience of creatures preyed upon, which is a lesser patience than of creatures preying. As the day wore long and the sun dropped to its bed in the northwest, the darkness had come back. The darkness had come back, and the fall nights were 6 hours long. The young bulls retraced their steps more and more reluctantly to the aid of their beast leader. The downcoming winter was harrying them on to the lower levels, and it seemed they could never shake off this tireless creature that held them back. Besides, it was not the life of the herd, nor of the young bulls, that was threatened. The life of only one member was demanded, which was a remoter interest than their lives. In the end, they were content to pay the toll. As twilight fell, the old bull stood with lowered head, watching his mates, the cows he had known, the calves he had fathered, the bulls he had mastered, as they shambled on at a rapid pace through the fading night. He could not follow, for before his nose leaped a merciless faint terror that would not let him go. 300 weighed more than half a ton he weighed. He had lived a long, strong life full of fight and struggle, and at the end he faced death at the teeth of a creature whose head did not reach beyond his great knuckle knees. From then on, night and day, Buck never left his prey, never gave it a moment's rest, and never permitted it to browse the leaves of trees or shoots of young birch and willow. Nor did he give the wounded bull opportunity to slake his burning thirst in the slender trickling streams they crossed. Often, in desperation, he burst into long stretches of flight. At such times, Buck did not attempt to stay him, but lopped easily at his heels, satisfied with the way the game was played, lying down when the moose stood still, attacking him fiercely when he strove to eat or drink. The great head drooped more and more under its tree of horns, and the shambling trot grew weak and weaker. He took to standing for long periods, with nose to the ground and dejected ears dropped limply, and Buck found more time in which to get water for himself and which to rest. At such moments, panting with a red lolling tongue and with eyes fixed upon the big bull, it appeared to Buck that a change was coming over the face of things. He could feel a new stir in the land. As the moose were coming into the land, other kinds of life were coming in. Forest and stream and air seemed palpitant with their presence. The news of it was borne in upon him, not by sight, or sound, or smell, but by some other and subtler sense. He heard nothing, saw nothing, yet knew the land was somehow different, that though strange things were afoot and ranging, and he resolved to investigate after he had finished the business in hand. At last, at the end of the fourth day, he pulled the great moose down. For a day and a night, he remained by the kill, eating and sleeping, turned and turned about. Then rested, refreshed and strong. He turned his face toward camp and John Thornton. He broke into the long, easy lope, and went on, hour after hour, never at loss for the tangled way, heading straight home through strange country, with a certitude of direction that put man and his magnetic needle to shame. As he held on, he became more and more conscious of the new stir in the land. There was life aboard in it, different from the life which had been theirs throughout the summer. No longer was this fact borne in upon him in some subtle, mysterious way. The birds talked of it, the squirrels chattered about it, the very breeze whispered of it. Several times he stopped and drew in the fresh morning air in great sniffs, reading a message which made him on with greater speed. He was oppressed with a sense of calamity.
Of calamity happening.
Calamity happened.
Do you know what a calamity is?
a disaster or
Yeah.
big.
Uh-huh.
Well, if it were not calamity already happened, and as he crossed the last watershed and dropped down into the valley toward camp, he proceeded with greater caution. 3 miles away, he came upon a fresh trail that sent his neck, hair rippling and bristling. It led straight toward camp and John Thornton. Buck hurried on, swiftly and stealthily, every nerve straining and tense, alert to the multitudinous
Multitudinous. Uh-huh.
multitudinous details which told a story, all but the end. His nose gave him a varying description of the passage of life on the heels of which he was traveling. He remarked the pregnant silence of the forest. Bird life had flitted. The squirrels were in hiding, but one only he saw, a sleek gray fellow, flattened against a great dead limb so that he seemed a part of it. Woody
Excretions. Uh-huh.
woody excretions upon the wood itself.
Hey, go get a drink of water. Go get a
Okay,
glass of water.
thank you.
Excretions.
Okay, I'm back.
Okay. So it's starting at as Buck slid
As
along.
as Buck slid along with the obscureness of a gliding shadow, his nose was jerked suddenly to the side as though a positive force had gripped and pulled it. He followed the new scent into the thicket and found Nick. He was lying on his side, dead where he had dragged himself, an arrow protruding, head and feathers, from either side of his body. 100 yards farther on, Buck came upon one of the sled dogs Thornton had bought in Dawson. The dog was thrashing about in the death struggle directly on the trail, and Buck passed around him without stopping. Directly
From the
uh,
camp.
from the camp came the faint sound of many voices rising and falling in a sing-song chant. Bellying forward to the edge of the clearing, he found Hans lying on his face, feathered with arrows, like a porcupine. At the same instant, Buck peered out where the spruce Lodge had been Lodge, the Spruceboro Lodge had been, and saw what made his hair leap straight up on his neck and shoulders. A gust of overpowering rage swept over him. He did not know what he growled. He did not know that he growled, but he growled along with terrible ferocity. For the last time in his life, he allowed passion to usurp cunning and reason, and it was because of his great love for John Thornton that he had lost his head. The Yehats,
Cats. They're
Yehats,
yeah, like a tribe, like an Indian tribe.
Yehats were dancing about the wreckage of the Rooster Lodge when they heard a fearful roaring and saw rushing upon them an animal like the like of which they had never seen before. It was Buck, a living, alive hurricane of fury, hurling himself upon them in the frenzy to destroy. He sprang at the foremost man. It was the chief of the Yehats, ripping the throat wide open till the rent jugular spouted a fountain of blood. He did not pause to worry the victim, but ripped in passing. With the last bound tearing wide the throat of a second man, there was no withstanding him. He plunged about in their very midst, tearing, rending, destroying, in constant and terrific motion which defied the arrows they discharged at him. In fact, so inconceivably rapid were his movements, and so closely were the Indians tangled together, that they shot one another with their arrows, and one young hunter, hurling a spear at Buck in midair, drove it through the chest of another hunter with such force that the point broke through the skin of the back and stood out beyond. Then a panic seized the Yehats, and they fled in terror to the woods, proclaiming as they fled the advent of the evil spirit. And truly Buck was the fiend incarnate, raging at their heels and dragging them down like deer as they raced through the trees. It was a fateful day for the Yehats. They scattered far and wide over the country, and it was not till a week later that the last of the survivors gathered together in the lower valley and counted their losses. As for Buck, wearying of the pursuit, as for Buck, wearying of the pursuit, he returned to the desolated camp. He found Pete, where he had been killed in his blankets in the first moment of surprise. Thornton's desperate struggle was fresh written on the earth, and Buck scented every detail of it down to the edge of a deep pool. By the edge, head and forefeet in the water, lay Skeet, faithful to the last. The pool itself, muddy and discolored from the
Juice boxes.
sluice boxes. What is sluice?
What's that?
What is sluice?
It's like a little like a passage, like a little thing of water, where it regulates flow, and it's probably of that stream or something.
Affected sluice boxes. So the sluice boxes effectively hid what it contained, and then contained John Thornton. For Buck followed his trace into the water, from which no trace led away. All day Buck brooded by the pool or roamed restlessly about the camp. Death, as a cessation of movement, as a passing out and away from the lives of the living, he knew John Thornton was dead. He left a great void in him, somewhat akin to hunger, but a void which ached, and which food could not fill. At times, when he paused to contemplate the carcasses of the Yehats, he forgot the pain of it, and sometimes he was aware of a great pride in himself, a pride greater than any he had yet experienced. He had killed man, the noblest game of all, and he had killed in the face of the law of club and fang. He sniffed the bodies curiously. They had died so easily. It was harder to kill a husky dog than them. They were no match at all, were it not for their arrows and spears and clubs. Thenceforward he would be unafraid of them, except when they bore in their hands their arrows, spears, and clubs. Night came on, and a full moon rose high over the trees into the sky, lightening the land till it lay bathed in ghostly day. And with the coming of the night, brooding and mourning by the pool, Buck became alive to a stirring of the new life in the forest other than that which the Yehats had made. He stood up, listening and scenting. From far away drifted a faint, sharp yelp, followed by a chorus of similar sharp yelps. As the moments passed, the yelps grew closer and louder. Again, Buck knew them as things heard in that other world, which persisted in his memory. He walked to the center of the open space and listened. It was the call. The many noted the call, sounding more luringly and compellingly than ever before. And as never before, he was ready to obey. John Thornton was dead. The last tie was broken. Man and the claims of man no longer bound him, hunting their living meat, and as the Yehats were hunting it, on the flanks of the migrating moose, the wolf pack had at last crossed over from the land of streams and timber and invaded Buck's Valley into the clearing where the moonlight streamed. They poured in a silvery flood, and in the center of the clearing stood Buck, motionless as a statue, motionless as a statue, waiting their coming. They were awed, so still and large he stood, and a moment's pause fell, till the boldest one leaped straight for him, like a flash Buck struck, breaking the neck. Then he stood, without movement, as before, the stricken wolf rolling in agony behind him. Three others tried it in sharp succession, and one after the other they drew back, streaming blood from slashed throats or shoulders. This was sufficient to fling the whole pack forward, pell-mell, crowded together, blocked and confused by its eagerness to pull down the prey. Buck's marvelous quickness and Buck's marvelous quickness and agility stood him in good stead. Pivoting on his hind legs, and snapping and gashing, he was everywhere at once, presenting a front which was apparently unbroken, so swiftly did he whirl and guard from side to side. But to prevent them from getting behind him, he was forced back, down past the pool and into the creek bed, till he brought up against a high gravel bank. He worked along to a right angle in the bank which the man had made in the course of mining, and in this angle he came to bay, protected on three sides and with nothing to do but face the front. And so well did he face it, that at the end of half an hour the wolves drew back discomfited. The tongues of all were out and lolling, the white fangs showing cruelly white in the moonlight. Some were lying down with heads raised and ears pricked forward. Others stood on their feet watching them, and still others were lapping water from the pool. One wolf, long and lean and gray, advanced cautiously in a friendly manner, and Buck recognized the wild brother with whom he had run for a night and a day. He was whining softly, and as Buck whined, they touched noses. Then an old wolf, gaunt and battle-scarred, came forward. Buck writhed his lips into the preliminary of a snarl, but sniffed noses with him, whereupon the old wolf sat down, pointing nose at the moon, and broke out the long wolf howl. The others sat down and howled, and now the call came to Buck in unmistakable accents. He too sat down and howled. This over, he came out of his angle as the pack crowded around him, sniffing in half-friendly, half-savage manner. The leaders lifted the yelp of the pack and sprang away into the woods. The wolves swung in behind, yelping in chorus, and Buck ran with them, side by side with the wild brother, yelping as he ran. And here may well end the story of Buck. The years were not many when the Yehats noted a change in the breed of timber wolves, for some were seen with splashes of brown on head and muzzle, and with a rift of white centering down the chest. But more remarkable than this, the Yehats tell of a ghost dog that runs at the head of the pack. They are afraid of this ghost dog, for it has cunning greater than they, stealing from their camps in fierce winters, robbing their traps, slaying their dogs, and defying their bravest hunters. Nay, the tale grows worse. Hunters there are who fail to return to the camp, and hunters there have been whom their tribesmen found with throats slashed cruelly open, and with wolf prints about them in the snow greater than the prints of any wolf. Each fall, when the Yehats follow the movement of the moose, there is a certain valley which they never enter, and women there are who become sad when the word goes over the fire of how the evil spirits came to select that valley for an abiding place. In the summers, there is one visitor, however, to that valley, of which the Yehats do not know. It is a great, gloriously coated wolf, like and yet unlike all other wolves. He crosses alone from the smiling timberland and comes down into an open space among the trees. Here a yellow stream flows from rotted moose-hide sacks and sinks into the ground, with long grasses growing through it and vegetable mold overrunning it and hiding its yellow from the sun. And here he muses for a time, howling once long and mournfully ere he departs. But he is not always alone. When the long winter nights come on, but he is not always alone. When the long winter nights come on and the wolves follow their meat into the lower valleys, he may be seen running at the head of the pack through the pale moonlight, or glimmering borealis,
Mhm.
leaping gigantic above his fellows, his great throat a bellow as he sings a song of the younger world, which is the song of the pack.
Mm. Who are they talking about?
Buck.
Fuck. Okay. How did you like it?
It's a pretty great story
It
and kind
is,
of
isn't it?
sad because
Wow.
John Thornton and his mates are dead.
Yeah. And that's actually not a they talk about the Yehats. That's as a Indian tribe. That's not in real life. I mean, I don't believe they really exist. That was just a made up name in London story. The Yehats. Like the Sioux and all the different types of Indian tribes. This is not a real one. Yehats. Um, Go ahead.
No.
Okay. Hey, I know because our class time we didn't get a chance to do it, but we'll have a short little quiz on this next week, and then I'll give you a topic for writing. Okay. I won't do it today. I know you have school and stuff this weekend, but maybe next week since you'll have a little bit of time. I'll have a little bit of extra time that week off. Any other questions before we go?
Nope.
And have you thought of another book yet?
I've been thinking, and because there isn't much time to think, so I have not yet. But I will
Yeah.
think of it
Okay.
this week.
Yeah, think of it this week, and if you think of it, just shoot me a WeChat message too. Okay, before next week.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Hey, well, with that, Z, have a happy birthday. Since I won't talk to you before the 27th. So have a great birthday. Have a nice
Thank
weekend.
you.
Yeah, and I will see you next Friday. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Okay. Good job today. And thanks for
Thank
sharing.
you.
Okay. You're welcome.
Bye. Thank
All
you
right.
for the birthday wish thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Bye.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Thank you for your time. Have a great week yourself. Bye.
Okay. Thanks, Z. Bye-bye.